Please remain seated. The show will begin in 3, 2...
Like a Hellcat.
Hello, ghoul friends, and all those who are freaky chic. Welcome back to my channel. I am your host, Phantom Traveler 87. This is my new segment called Haunts and Hysteria, where I go over my research on paranormal locations from all over the world. One of the most infamous structures in San Jose, California, a labyrinth of confusion and absolute terror, is the Winchester Mystery House. Let's dive right in. You are walking alone down endless dark corridors of the Winchester mansion, and eventually you end up in one section of the house where you might come across a window or a door, but it is put in the most random and abnormal place. It's like an elevator in an outhouse. It just doesn't belong. Panicked and feeling paranoid, you are wondering if you will ever find a way out. You see, perhaps that is the most common true terror of the Winchester mansion. The very idea of getting lost and being trapped and never being able to escape with your life. Sarah Lockwood Parody was born in 1840 in New Haven, Connecticut. She was one among 7 children. Her father, Leonard Parody, ran a successful carriage manufacturing business, and her mother, of course, was quite popular in the upper social circle. As a child, Sarah had learned 4 languages, and she was enrolled into Yale College eventually, where she was part of a special group known as the Young Ladies Collegiate Institute. Sarah eventually married a man by the name of William Wirt Winchester in 1862. William was the sole inheritor to his father Oliver's business, the Repeating Arms Winchester Company. The company was well known to mass-produce firearms that could fire multiple rounds without having to reload. The skyrocketing popularity and absolute boost in sales would eventually at some point lead Sir Winchester to obtain a great fortune. But, of course, that would become the foundation of a rather strange obsession in her later years. 4 years happily married, Sarah and William welcomed their firstborn, a baby girl whom they called Annie. Unfortunately, all good things sometimes come to an end. Little Annie had passed away just 40 days after her birth from a very rare illness known as marasmus, a rare disease in which can cause malnutrition in the body. Poor Sarah. Poor Sarah. She never did get over her infant daughter's passing. In her own eyes, the Winchester family profited from death, and it was something that she couldn't bear to deal with. Then tragedy struck again in 1880 when William's father Oliver had died, and he left the business to his only son, of course, being William himself. Then just 1 year later, William would die from tuberculosis, leaving everything to his beloved wife, Sarah. Mentally broken by the agonizing, torturous grief of such losses in her life, the passing of her father-in-law, her husband, and infant daughter, Sarah Winchester sought the only way that she knew how to cope. Sarah Winchester would start conducting seances in her own home. Now, Sarah Winchester was in possession of a $20 million fortune, which in today's equivalent is $500 million. And not to mention, she also got a bit of a bonus, a 50% stake in the Winchester's Repeating Arms Company. Though Sarah never took up a position in the business, she did earn an income of $1,000 a day. Sarah then at some point had traveled to Boston to meet up with a medium in hopes of getting some sort of advice due to the claim that Sarah had that she was being inflicted by the spirits, the victims of the Winchester rifle. The medium had told Sarah that the only way to appease the spirits, the victims of the Winchester rifle, was to move west and customize a new home for them, to board them in order to keep them at bay, so that no harm would befall her or anyone who dared to enter. In 1884, Sarah Winchester had traveled to San Jose and found an unfinished farmhouse, and then decided to begin construction. And instead of enlisting the help of an architect, she arranged services with a huge amount of carpenters whom she hired to work 24/7, adding on new additions to the house. Not before long, the Winchester mansion would be a whopping 7 stories high, with over 160 rooms in total. As mentioned before, in order to confuse the spirits, Sarah Winchester had unusual additions made to the interior of the house. Staircases that ended suddenly, windows that led into interior rooms, doors that led to someone perhaps falling to their demise hundreds of feet. For 38 years, through blood, sweat, tears, and dedication, the house was finally finished. And in 1922, Sarah Winchester would pass away in her sleep. Now on to the ghostly rumors of the alleged apparitions that haunt the Winchester Mansion. According to the Winchester Mansion website. Alright, let's dive right in, shall we? Let's continue. Now, for those who don't know, there are 3 types of hauntings. And in this case, with the Winchester estate, one of the 3, or maybe all 3, can be represented due to the numerous accounts that are stated that allegedly could have happened or didn't happen. Residual hauntings are like playbacks. They're like a broken record. They just play within a loop. It could be anything from footsteps to disembodied voices to a child's laughter to a baby's cry. Something along those lines. Whereas an intelligent haunting is where the spirit is more conscious, becomes more sentient, is able to communicate with you in various ways. By responding to a yes or no question clearly, or even so much as saying their name out loud, or tugging on your shirt, or pulling your hair. All of that are prime examples of an intelligent haunting. Now, shadow figures, on the other hand, they either have a distinct shape to them, they could just be an outline, they could be transparent, or anything within those descriptions. And that's to put it rather simply. So there you go. That's all 3 types. Okay, here are 3 alleged hauntings of ghostly encounters at the Winchester mansion that are very popular. One is the wheelbarrow ghost, also known as the handyman apparition. Now, he's described as having jet black hair, and he has been seen allegedly repairing the fireplace and pushing around a spectral wheelbarrow. I mean, that's if wheelbarrows still linger within the beyond, but anyway, what do I know? What's your opinion? Second urban legend of the Winchester house: the secret of the invisible hand. A man was working on many restoration projects, and he worked in one section of the mansion known as the Hall of Fires, where there were many fireplaces. The house was as quiet as the grave, and the man was working up on a ladder. Then he felt a tap on his shoulder. He asked what the person wanted, but when he turned around, no one was there. He thought perhaps he just imagined the whole thing and continued on with his work, until he then felt that same touch, but this time with a little bit more force, as the invisible hand pushed up against his back, nearly making the guy fall off the ladder. At that point, enough was enough. The man hurried down the ladder, crossed the estate, and decided to do another project, figuring that maybe nobody or something just didn't want him working in the Hall of Fires that day. Okay, on to the final urban legend of the Winchester house. We have the sign of a heavy sigh. A tour guide named Samantha had led many visitors to the Daisy bedroom where Sarah stayed during the 1906 earthquake. Samantha was just about to give her speech in regards to telling the history of the room when she heard a very clear sigh coming from outside in the small hallway of the bedroom door. She figured perhaps maybe one of the guests had fallen behind. Samantha had responded by turning to face the alleged person who sighed, and she had called them out. However, there was no response. And when she went to check, there was nobody present in the hallway. Only did something happen when she adjusted her eyes to the darkened hallway that she did catch a glimpse of something. The outline of a small, dark shadow emerging and gliding down the hallway. Samantha quickly rushed around the corner, and she saw no one this time, but she did hear another heavy sigh. It could be that it was the ghost of Sarah Winchester, who was peeved that somebody and a whole group of people was in her favorite bedroom. Alright, this concludes Season 1, Episode 1 of my segment for my channel, Haunts and Hysteria, the Winchester Mystery House. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into exploring the wonders of the allegedly haunted labyrinth. Now, please like, subscribe to show your support, and hit that notification bell for all future content and future updates. It's a pleasure as always. Remember to be your beautiful selves and to always stay spooky. Alright, my ghoul friends, and all those who are freaky chic. Until next time, please stay tuned for more exciting horror. Alright. Pleasant nightmares, everyone. Bye.